The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
The mind of Pat Popolizio is a wondrous thing. And for you Pac wrestling fans, you'll get to go inside the mind of the Skip each and every episode here on the Pac Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Now, here's your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt.
Welcome, wrestling fans, to a brand new episode of the Pac Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Now, normally, this is where I introduce myself in the Skip, but coming off the run the Wolfpack just had at the 2018 NCAA Championships, we're going to sit down first with a couple of the Pac wrestlers that had memorable runs at the NCAA before we bring in Pat to recap the Pac's fourth-place team finish, the first time NC State has brought home a team trophy. So in this episode of the Pac Mentality Pop-Ins podcast, I'm joined by the 197-pound 2018 national champion, and he's the very first two-time guest on this podcast in the studio, Michael Macchiavello. Mock, I know you've heard it numerous times, but congrats on winning the 8th national title in Wolfpack wrestling history.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate that a lot, man.
Now, I will tell our listeners behind the scenes, we taped this once, but the batteries went out.
Battery died.
No idea where we left off.
This is a rerun.
This is our take two, so I appreciate you, Mock. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I wanted to record this podcast earlier in the week, but you had a dentist appointment to complete a root canal.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that brought you back down to reality a bit, but how has the rush, have you calmed down at all since winning that national title?
It's been wild past couple of days. I talked to the mayor of my city back home, and they're going to recognize me and write up a proclamation and give me a key to the city, which is going to be really cool. A couple of head coaches from other universities have called me to wish me luck, and just the amount of support I've gotten from people back home has been incredible. So it's been a wild couple of days, and I'm still kind of coming to terms with it. Still can't believe it. So
I will say, you told me before, everybody that texted you, called you, social media, you will get back to them. You're still catching up, but your social media just had to blow up after that.
Yeah, I think I've gotten over 400 new followers on Insta. I just checked. I was at 395 before the podcast. Now it's over 400. The same thing on Twitter. And so it's been a wild couple of days.
So, of course, we're going to break down your run to the NCAA title, but I actually wanted to start with some stuff that you mentioned during some of your press conferences at the NCAA. Going back to a couple of your first years in the program, your freshman and sophomore season, you were 20-24 overall, 0-8 against ranked foes. Pat loves to say, trust the process. So your development here at NC State, isn't that exactly what NC State wrestling and Pac mentality is all about?
Absolutely. I know when you ask me that question, the first thing I think about is that the system the coaching staff has put in place when I first got here. And it's a proven system. It works. You know, I was a part of it. I trusted it. And, you know, I accomplished my goal to win an NCAA title. And to all the recruits and to all the high school wrestlers, like, NC State is a place where you can go and you will be developed as a wrestler. I was a one-time state champ in the state of North Carolina. And, you know, I won an NCAA title. So if you're from the Midwest, PA, New York, you know, any other schools where wrestling is huge, you know, there's no doubt in my mind you'll be able to accomplish what you set out to do at a way earlier part in your career than I have. And so I think realistically winning an NCAA team title is in Pac Wrestle's future, and I'm excited to just kind of watch that kind of happen and witness it.
And you talked about your development, and I'm going to say he's a great follow on Twitter. Nick Wisdowski had one of the best tweets of the NCAAs. He said when you first got here, and he was in the room already, he wasn't sure that you knew all the rules of wrestling.
He is not wrong.
So prior to coming to NC State, What was your wrestling background?
So I was a one-time North Carolina state champ. I started basically 8th grade, freshman year of high school, so I was a really late wrestler. Came to the sport really late. All-American twice at Flow Nationals. And that was my high school career. Losing record freshman year, lost on a locked hands call because I didn't even realize it. So that's where that tweet's coming from. My sophomore year to my man Nicky Hall. Shout out to my boy Nicky Hall. And yeah, it's been a long journey. I started on the way bottom. So
Now, all season, you actually moved up this year from your senior year to 197.
Yeah.
Top 10 all year, second at the ACC. So you got the number 4 overall seed. When the brackets came out, what was your thought about your seed?
I didn't really give it a whole bunch of thought. I knew going into the tournament, if I would have won ACCs, I could have potentially had the 1 seed. And once I lost, that's something that I didn't focus on at all. I think people were telling me, man, you had a great jaw. And, they weren't wrong, but at the same time, like, you want to win that tournament, you got to win 5 hard matches regardless of what seed you are. You have guys who are 16 seeds who went into the tournament and went to the finals, and you guys who are unseeded, like, Tariq Wilson, who had a heck of a tournament and just went out there and performed.
Now, you opened your run at the NCAAs with a pair of back-to-back majors. Of course, those advanced you in the bracket, but as a team, NC State got 14 bonus point wins during the entire NCAA run, which helped add to the team total, which brought home the team trophy. So at ACCs, you guys were unable to record any bonus point wins. What was the team emphasis on earning bonus points at the NCAAs this season?
It was big, and we knew going into the NCAA tournament as a team, collectively as a whole, we had yet to wrestle one tournament where everybody just wrestled extremely well, and I think, we did that aside from some things that we couldn't control, like guys getting hurt and things like that, but the coach's emphasis was on scoring points. To win that tournament, you have to be offensive, and you can't freeze up, and so, I think when you do that, the bonus points just come themselves, and so it was great to have that happen and for us to finally reach that milestone as a program.
And we're going to jump ahead to the quarterfinals, and this was one of the better matchups on paper before it even started. You were set to face number 5 seed Rashid of Penn State if everything held true, and it did. Many people picked him as a dark horse to make a little bit of a run here, and it turned out to be one of the best bouts. He was up 3-1 on you in the second. Then you got a reversal, and probably just as important, you got that ride time down. So you were down 1 late, and you got that winning takedown with just 12 seconds left to get that win. Can you take us through that match a bit?
Yeah, he's a long, lengthy guy with a lot of athleticism. So it was definitely a tough match. Probably the toughest match of the tournament besides the finals. And he got to my legs a couple times, and I had to really, really work to defend those shots. And he had taken me down first, like you said already. And I had to come back from a deficit. I was losing the entire match until the last 30, 40 seconds. So, when I think about that match, the thing that I think about the most was just, pace, push the pace. I saw him getting tired in the second, and Pat was telling me to pull the trigger. I didn't even know how much time was left, and so I knew I had to shoot. So I took that shot, and it just ended up working out in my favor.
And I kind of see that towards the end of the year in that match, Colin Moore of Ohio State and Reynolds, Haught a couple times. Your conditioning has really excelled, especially late in that third period. What do you credit your conditioning to this year?
I think just hard work. I work really, really hard, and I push myself as hard as I can every day in practice. And the coaching staff does a great job of challenging us as athletes. And I think, too, it's just grittiness. I think everybody gets tired in a match, and I think you can either let it affect you or you could just accept it and get gritty and push through it. And so I think, honestly, most of the times in those matches, I think it's just something that I just decide, hey, you feel a little tired? Well, the other guy's exhausted, and I just kind of push through it.
And you were one of 3 to advance to the semifinals for NC State. And besides our own Tariq freaking Wilson, as many that have dubbed him, you faced the other fan favorite in Kent State's Kyle Connell. Connell started in the pigtails and pinned number 1 Moore of Ohio State in the quarters and instantly won over the crowd. He went on to beat Moore again and placed 3rd overall. But back to your bout against him, he shot in, took you down with a double 19 seconds in, and you two slammed down pretty hard, but you answered with a takedown of your own, and your takedown in the second turned into a pin at the 4:23 mark. So how huge was that pin, and just what was the relief advancing to the finals?
Well, first, kid blasted me off my feet in the first period right off the whistle, which I was not expecting. Really, really strong guy, probably the strongest guy I wrestled in the bracket. And, to go back to that question with the pin, it was huge. I didn't think about it until afterwards, but the bonus point win there, getting a fall for the team, I think helped put us in a position to finish in the tie for 4th. So I'm just really thankful that I was able to get that done for the guys.
I have to joke, the second interview is going just as great as the first interview for those that are listening. But that win sent you into the finals the next night. Now, you had to weigh in Saturday morning, but the finals didn't start until 8. So what did you do all day to lead up to the finals, and were you even able to relax at all?
No, I wasn't really able to relax that much. Hayden and I went and got a really big breakfast at a diner, and then we walked back to the hotel and just kind of rested up to get ready for the finals. But, out of that, I think it was 5-7 hour break, I only got 30 minutes of sleep. But, I cold tubbed too, so that way my body felt good. I made this makeshift cold tub. I went and got the hotel trash can underneath the sink, went to the ice machine, filled up the tub, filled it up with ice, did that for 10 minutes. And so then after that, just kind of rested and was getting my body prepared as best as I could for that night.
And I'd say your finals opponent was your ACC rival, Jared Haught from Virginia Tech. Haught beat you twice during the season, 2-1 in the duel, 6-4 in extra time at the ACC. So once that final matchup was set, what were your thoughts on facing Haught again?
I was really, really excited. People always say third time's the charm, and it was. So I knew the last two matches we had were really, really close. There was no doubt in my mind that I was, capable of beating him, but I had to go out and do it. I knew it was going to be tough to do, and I just stick to my process and didn't change anything and went out there and wrestled as hard as I could, and things just kind of went my way. So I was really thankful for that.
And in the two earlier meetings during the year, neither one of you recorded a takedown in your bout. So going into this final, did you kind of have a sense of whoever got the first takedown was probably going to come out on top?
Absolutely. I think him and I are very similar wrestlers. We're both very gritty, both very strong, tough to score on. And so it was definitely something that was in my mind. And so, going into the match, I was just thinking, create as much action as possible. Doesn't matter who scores. If you get taken down first, just get up, keep wrestling. But I knew I wanted someone to score a takedown in that 7 minutes. I did not want it to go into overtime again. So,
and the match started just like the previous two. It was tied 1-1 early in the third as both of you got an escape to start your periods. I do remember you got in on a double in the first and even had his leg off of the mat, but you couldn't get that first takedown. Were you frustrated at all, or did you just know that that's how that bout was going to go? Because both of you are really good on defense.
I was pretty pissed. I was just like, man, that was the match right there. You should have finished that. But he did a great job defensively, and I just couldn't dwell on that. I just had to keep focusing on what I had to do the rest of the match, and so I just tried to stay offensive and stay in good position. But yeah, that was a key part of the match. I think it was big. I think it started getting in his head a little bit. I have no idea, to be honest, but I was just happy things went my way in the end.
So now getting into the third, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he's the one that actually shot in and got in on your legs. But you controlled the scramble, came away with the winning takedown in the final seconds in the NCAA title. Once again, talk to us through that sequence.
Yeah, so, first off, great shot on his part. He got to it and he locked both his hands. I think all the other shots in the beginning of the match, he had taken a shot, but he wasn't able to get his hands locked, and I did a good job kind of defending it. And this shot, he actually got to his clasp, and so I was a little worried about that, and I knew this was going to kind of be a little bit of a battle, and whoever came out on top was going to be, an NCAA champ. So I just did my best to square my hips and stuff his head. That's what I just kept thinking, stuff his head, don't let his head pop out. And so I was able to do that. We kind of rolled around on the mat a little bit, and I saw his ankle kind of pop out, and I grabbed it. And as soon as I did that, I was able to get my hips out and just kind of whip around for the two really, really quickly.
And you could see on the TV broadcast your emotions when there were just a couple seconds left. You were still on top, but it was very clear when you realized you were going to go on and win. I don't know if you saw the clock or if you heard Pat, but just those final seconds, what were you thinking?
Man, I was just thinking I'm about to be an NCAA national champ, and this is amazing. I think about Nick, too, when he won his first title. There was the last couple of seconds, and he looked up at the clock, and he knew the same thing, and he started smiling, and it was real emotional. And I saw Pat celebrating when I looked up, and I looked over at the clock, and it was unreal.
Well, first of all, you're saying Pat celebrates during these matches?
Man, if you saw him in every single dual meet and match, it is the funniest thing ever. We actually make fun of him for some of his celebrations.
He's got some good moves.
He's got some great moves. Shout out to Pat. I wish I could celebrate like that. So
now I will say, once that final horn did sound, you seemed a little bit flustered. In great sportsmanship, you were going to go over and shake Virginia Tech coach's hands, but the ref actually had to call you back to raise your hand, so it wasn't even official yet. I guess the emotions just got the better of you at the end there.
Yeah, they did. I just wanted to go celebrate with my coaching staff. I was ready to go shake their hands and just kind of go hug my mom in the stands and go jump on Pat and Opie and Donnie. And I wasn't even thinking about getting my hand raised. I was just really happy I had won. So
now, Cleveland set a record for the most fans, not only for the entire NCAA championships, but that single session in the finals had over 19,000 fans. Were you able to soak up any of the environment?
Yeah, I was actually. I think throughout the tournament when we had a lot of guys wrestling, I would just kind of go out to the tunnel and just kind of look around and take it all in. It was really cool atmosphere to be a part of. Especially playing in the Cavs arena where LeBron plays. I thought that was really cool to just be able to say that I was on the floor and walk around the hallways.
Was incredible.
That was massive. Did you see the two little swords that were on the edge too?
Swords. You see the fire.
It was wild. It was just really, really cool. So I was really happy that I was able to compete in front of that crowd.
And those NCAA finals, they're such a great production. I'm a huge WWE fan, and I've always liked the entrances. Now, right after, I'm talking about as soon as you step off the mat, the NCAA grabs you after your semifinal and asks you what song you want to play for your walkout.
Man.
Now, the TV broadcast didn't put yours on, and after much debate, you finally picked one.
Yeah.
What was your song, and what was the reason behind it?
I picked Moon Age Daydream by David Bowie. One, I was taking too long to pick a song, so I just picked one. And two, I like old school music. I thought it had a great beginning to the song that I could walk out to, and so I really liked that. And that's kind of how I came and picked that. But it's crazy, man. As soon as you walk out, I'm breathing. I take out my mouthpiece, and the first thing I hear is, "Hey, so what's your walkout song for the finals?" And I'm just like, "What?" And so, I just.
Now, a couple of days later, would you still have picked that same one now that you have time to think about it?
Now, since I won, I definitely would. But I really don't know. I was trying to look for a hip-hop song, and then I ended up going old school. So I don't know what I would have done. But I'm just, happy that it worked out well. And it's not a bad song. Definitely classic. So.
But you did admit Haught might have one-upped you. He might have picked a better song.
He definitely one-upped me. He won the crowd after that. I was like, oh, all right. Well, there go all my fans. So...
But one thing the NCAA changed up this year, each NCAA finalist was allowed 4 passes for their family and friends to come and sit down in the front row of that final match. Your mom, your brother, who is a carbon copy of yourself.
Yeah, everybody says that.
And your high school coach were all there to experience your match. Did you notice them when you were up on the stage at all?
Yeah, I did. So when I first came up and we were kind of walking around, there's a couple minutes of TV time for ESPN, and so... you're just walking around, waiting for them to cross to the middle, and I hear my mom and my little brother yelling, "Michael!" And so I point to him real quick and look at him, and then I, look right back to the middle, kind of get ready for the match.
And, of course, right after the win, you embraced them all. How special of a moment was that, guys? You've credited your parents and your high school coach for getting you to where you are today. Just how special was that for that group?
That was a really special moment. I was super happy I was able to share that moment with them. Me and my mom, I've talked about it with her before, after, I win NCAA title, when you're talking about your dream, what you're going to do. And I'm like, I'm going to come find you, and I'm going to come run up to you on ESPN. So for that to actually happen was really cool. And then, it wasn't just them, though. There's a awesome community of people back home who helped raise me and have always just positively supported me. And so really thankful for that group of people and my group of friends who have always, been there with me from the start. So
now all of these questions the rest of the way, they're brand new. We didn't get to the first one, so we'll see how this next
This is where we figured out the thing died. So
really behind the scenes here. But you're from Monroe, North Carolina.
Yeah.
It's a little bit south of Charlotte. I think one of the most impressive stats in your title run, you are only the second North Carolina native in the history of the NCAA championships, and those date back to 1928, to win an NCAA title. As somebody who competed at both in high school and college in this state, how proud does that make you?
Man, I'm just really grateful that I can be in that elite group of people. I'm really happy that I was able to put on for the state of North Carolina. I know I had a lot of people rooting for me and a lot of people behind me. And even then, there were still people who were rooting for me who didn't even know if I could get it done just because of how how rare it is for us North Carolina natives to accomplish something like that. And so I've had a lot of people from the state just kind of congratulate me and text me and tell me that they're inspired, and people who have said, man, I'm ready to get back to practice tomorrow. And, like I said, I'm just really thankful that I can be a part of that elite group.
And your hometown has given you a lot of love during this run. I've had numerous media requests from the area for interviews. Your high school's been all over social media, congratulate you. And as you said, Indian Trail just announced they'll be honoring you next week. How has the response been from people back home?
It's been crazy. Like I said, I talked to the mayor of the city already. Lots of friends and family from back home that I haven't talked to in years. People that I went to high school with that I maybe was just acquaintances with that I didn't even get to know that well were congratulating, reaching out. I've seen videos of people like their celebrations of them watching the NCAA finals, which has been really cool. And a lot of people telling me we were crying. And so it's been unreal.
And this is your senior season. So this tournament run was your last in an NC State singlet.
Yeah.
At what point did that dawn on you that this is your final go around in college wrestling?
I think before the finals, I started thinking about that a lot. I was like, this is the last match I will ever wrestle in an NC State singlet. And, the first thing I thought was, well, you better wrestle with everything you got for that last 7 minutes, because after that, it's over. And so that was my mentality going into the finals. And, that's when it hit me.
And we're going to go off the mat for a second here. You've already earned your undergrad degree in finance, and now you're pursuing a master's of arts and liberal studies. First, can you talk about how proud you are and your family of you for earning that degree? And then what does the rest of your academic future hold, and where do you see yourself using those degrees?
So mom's really, really proud of me. She got an associate's degree. And so for me to get a 4-year degree and kind of just set the bar for my little brother is a really awesome feeling. So now that's kind of the expectation for him, and that's kind of what my mom has always preached, school first, school first. So she was really, really happy about that and cried at my graduation last spring. And she also told me, you're not doing a degree in 5 years, so you better get it done or else you're paying for it yourself. So I had to make sure I got that done in 4. And so, if you would have asked me in high school, I would have been getting a master's degree. I would have been saying you're crazy. And so I'm just really thankful because, this coaching staff and the opportunity that they've given me has allowed me to not only pursue my athletic careers, but have taken me way further academically than I could have imagined. So that's been really awesome. And then I know my plan is to finish that in December. And while I'm here, I'm going to keep training freestyle. I think I qualified for the World Team Trials since I won the NCAA tournament, so I'll be going to that. And I'll be training in Raleigh for the next year, or at least until I finish my master's degree. But I know I want to help build the program here too. So it's been awesome. But as of right now, everything's kind of like up in the air, and I'm excited for the future.
Now, to get you out here, I like to ask some of our guests 7 rapid-fire questions. So just respond with the first thing that pops into your head. Teammate with the messiest locker. And I'll preface this, you can nominate yourself because everybody has so far.
All right, so I'll say me just because everybody else says that. But Bo Donahue definitely has the messiest locker also. If it's not a tie, then he definitely has me beat. So
well, you can't say yourself as the messiest, so we'll go with Bo. Favorite cardio machine?
The elliptical.
Now that the season's over, what's your go-to restaurant in Raleigh?
A burger place. I can't even think of one, but somewhere with burgers.
Are you more of a mountain or a beach person?
Beach. But I love the mountains too, so definitely beach though.
Who are you most likely to ask when you have a homework question?
Chad Pike, and he's not even here anymore.
He's come up a few times, though. Do you have a favorite Papalizio quote or saying?
Yeah, so Pat
PG,
always,
as long as it's PG.
Yeah, it's PG. Pat always like, now wrestling. Every time you see him, he just randomly comes up to you. And wrestling at 197 pounds, Michael Macchiavello. He does that. He'll insert whoever's name is right there in front of him. So if it's me, he'll say my name. If it's Pete, he'll say Pete's name. And that's just like his go-to line.
Who will surprise the fans on next year's squad? Maybe somebody that's under the radar.
Malik McDonald, I think. I know people know, who's in the starting lineup, but I think he's going to have an awesome year next year. And, a couple people come to mind, to be honest, but the first person is Malik. So,
Michael, it was great to have you on the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. You were on twice today, but thanks once again for taking us through your journey all the way to the NCAA title, and congratulations on everything.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for everything you do for the program. Thanks for starting the podcast, and I appreciate you, man. So thanks.
And I want to thank everybody for listening today. This is your Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast covering all things NC State wrestling. Until next time, Wolfpack wrestling fans, go Pack!
The Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast is produced by the Mat Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, go to mattalkonline.com.